If you've been feeling off lately, tired for no reason, a little foggy in the head, maybe your vision's been blurry some mornings, and you've already ruled out diabetes because your last blood sugar test came back normal, I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share surprises almost every patient I talk to. Blood sugar problems don't always look like diabetes. In fact, some of the most common warning signs your body gives you when your blood sugar is swinging up and down have nothing to do with the classic symptoms most of us were taught to watch for. No excessive thirst, no frequent bathroom trips, just quiet, easy to dismiss changes that a lot of people, and honestly, a lot of doctors in a rushed visit, write off as just getting older. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what to look for, why it happens, and what you can actually do about it starting today. So let's get into it. Let me start with something that might surprise you. Blood sugar issues exist on a spectrum. On one end, you've got normal, healthy blood sugar. On the far other end, you've got diagnosed diabetes. But in between those 2 points, there's a huge gray zone. Some researchers call it insulin resistance, some call it pre-diabetes, and some people are simply dealing with blood sugar swings that never show up clearly on a standard fasting glucose test. Studies suggest that a large percentage of adults over 60 fall somewhere in that gray zone without ever knowing it, because the standard test your doctor runs at your annual physical is really designed to catch full-blown diabetes, not the subtler ups and downs that can still affect how you feel every single day. So what does it actually feel like when your blood sugar isn't behaving, even if a lab test says you're fine? Let's go through the signs one at a time, because I think once you hear these, a few of them are going to click for you. The first one is energy crashes after meals. Not just feeling a little sleepy after lunch, I mean a real crash. You eat, and within an hour or two, you feel like someone unplugged you. Your eyelids get heavy, your thinking slows down. Maybe you feel like you need a nap just to function for the rest of the afternoon. A lot of people chalk this up to just getting older, or not sleeping well the night before. But here's the part most people miss. This kind of post-meal crash is often your body dealing with a spike, and then a sharp drop in blood sugar. Your pancreas releases a burst of insulin to handle the food you just ate. And if your cells aren't responding to that insulin as efficiently as they used to, your blood sugar can swing down harder than it should, and that crash is what you feel. The second sign is subtle, but a lot of you watching are going to recognize it right away. Brain fog that comes and goes throughout the day, especially a couple hours after eating something high in refined carbohydrates, like white bread, pastries, or sugary drinks. You might notice you're forgetting words mid-sentence, losing your train of thought, or just feeling mentally slow for a stretch of time. This isn't the same as the kind of memory concern that needs a full cognitive evaluation. This is more like a fog that lifts and comes back, tracking pretty closely with when and what you ate. Some research suggests that blood sugar swings affect blood flow and energy delivery to the brain, and because your brain runs almost entirely on glucose for fuel, unstable blood sugar can show up as unstable thinking. The third sign is changes in your vision that come and go. Not a steady decline like you'd expect with cataracts or macular degeneration, but blurriness that seems to show up more on some days than others, sometimes worse after a big meal. This happens because blood sugar changes can affect the lens of your eye, causing it to swell slightly and change shape, which affects how light focuses. If your vision seems to fluctuate rather than steadily worsen, that's worth paying attention to. And it's worth mentioning to your eye doctor at your next visit, because they may want to loop in your primary doctor as well. The fourth sign is one that catches a lot of people off guard. Unexplained weight changes, particularly weight that seems to accumulate around the middle, even if your eating habits haven't changed much. When your cells become less responsive to insulin, your body tends to store more fat, especially visceral fat around your abdomen, because insulin plays a major role in how your body decides to store versus burn fuel. If you've noticed your waistline creeping up even though the rest of you looks about the same, that's a pattern some research has connected to blood sugar regulation issues. The fifth sign is skin changes, and this one surprises almost everyone. Some people develop darker, slightly velvety patches of skin, often around the neck, armpits, or other skin folds. In the medical world, this is sometimes called acanthosis nigricans, and it's been associated with the body producing extra insulin to try to compensate for cells that aren't responding well. If you or someone you love has noticed skin that's gotten darker or thicker feeling in those areas, it's absolutely worth bringing up with your doctor. The sixth sign is frequent, low-grade headaches, especially ones that seem to show up a few hours after eating, or headaches that seem to get better after you eat something. This back and forth pattern can be a clue that your blood sugar is swinging more than it should be, since both high and low blood sugar can trigger headaches through slightly different mechanisms. And the seventh sign, the one most people never expect, is slow healing cuts, scrapes, or bruises. When blood sugar runs higher than ideal over time, it can affect circulation and how efficiently your immune system repairs damaged tissue. If you've noticed that a scrape that used to heal in a few days is now taking a week or two, that's a pattern worth paying attention to, not ignoring. Now here's the important part, and I want to be really clear about this. None of these signs by themselves mean you have diabetes, or even pre-diabetes. Every single one of these can also be caused by something else entirely: poor sleep, dehydration, medication side effects, thyroid issues, or simply normal aging. I'm not here to scare you into thinking every headache means your pancreas is failing. What I want you to take away is this: if you're noticing 2, 3, or more of these signs together, especially ones that seem to track with what and when you eat, that pattern is worth a conversation with your doctor, even if your last fasting glucose number looked normal. So why does this get missed so often? A couple of reasons. First, a standard fasting glucose test only gives you a snapshot, a single number at a single moment, usually first thing in the morning after you haven't eaten all night. It doesn't show you what happens to your blood sugar 2 hours after lunch, or what your levels look like on a day when you had a big, carb-heavy dinner. Second, doctors are working with limited appointment time, and if your fasting number looks fine, there often isn't a natural prompt to dig deeper unless you bring these subtler symptoms up yourself. That's actually one of the most useful things I can tell you today. You are allowed to ask for more than the standard test. If you've noticed a pattern of these signs, you can specifically ask your doctor about a test called hemoglobin A1C, which reflects your average blood sugar over the past 2 to 3 months, rather than just one moment in time. Some doctors may also discuss something called a glucose tolerance test, or in some cases, a short trial with a continuous glucose monitor, which is a small, patch-like device that tracks your blood sugar throughout the day and night. These tools can catch patterns that a single fasting test might completely miss. Now let's talk about what you can actually do, because I don't want to leave you with a list of warning signs and no direction. There are some simple, well-studied habits that may help support healthier blood sugar patterns, and the encouraging news is that a lot of these are things you have real control over, starting today. The first thing that tends to help is the order you eat your food in during a meal. Some research suggests that eating vegetables and protein before you eat starches or sugary foods may help blunt the blood sugar spike that follows. So if you've got a plate with chicken, vegetables, and rice, try eating the chicken and vegetables first, and save the rice for last. It's a small change, but some studies have found it can make a meaningful difference in how sharply your blood sugar rises after eating. The second helpful habit is moving your body after meals. And I don't mean anything intense. Even a gentle 10 to 15 minute walk after a meal has been associated in some research with lower post-meal blood sugar spikes, because your muscles use glucose for fuel when they're active, which can help pull some of that sugar out of your bloodstream naturally. If a walk isn't possible for you, even standing up and doing some light chores around the house after eating, instead of sitting or lying down right away, may help. The third habit is paying attention to your carbohydrate quality, not necessarily cutting carbs out completely. Refined carbohydrates, white bread, white rice, sugary cereals, pastries, tend to be digested quickly and can cause a sharper rise in blood sugar. Whole grains, beans, lentils, and vegetables digest more slowly because of their fiber content, which may help create a gentler, more gradual rise instead of a spike. You don't have to overhaul your whole diet overnight. Even swapping 1 or 2 refined carb foods a day for a whole grain or fiber-rich option is a reasonable place to start. The fourth habit is prioritizing sleep, and I know this one gets mentioned in almost every health video, but there's a real reason it matters here specifically. Some research has found that poor or insufficient sleep can affect how sensitive your cells are to insulin, even after just a few nights of poor rest. If your sleep has been rocky lately, that alone could be contributing to some of the symptoms we talked about earlier, separate from anything related to diet. The fifth habit is managing stress, because your body releases cortisol under stress, and cortisol can raise blood sugar as part of your body's natural fight or flight response. This response was helpful when our ancestors needed a quick burst of energy to escape danger, but for a lot of us, chronic day-to-day stress keeps that response somewhat activated more often than it should be. Something as simple as a short daily walk, time with a hobby you enjoy, or a few minutes of deep breathing may help take some of that pressure off your system over time. And the sixth thing, probably the most important one of all, is simply tracking your own patterns and talking to your doctor about them, rather than trying to self-diagnose or self-treat. You know your body better than anyone else does, and if you start noticing that 2 or 3 of these signs are showing up together, especially after certain meals, write it down. Bring that pattern to your next appointment. That kind of specific, personal information can be incredibly useful for your doctor because it gives them something to investigate beyond a single number on a lab report. I also want to gently mention, because I think it's easy to feel a little anxious after watching a video like this, that noticing 1 or 2 of these signs occasionally is common and doesn't automatically mean something serious is going on. Bodies are complicated, and a lot of these symptoms overlap with completely normal, harmless things. The goal here isn't to worry you, it's to give you information that most people simply were never told, so that if there is something worth looking into, you catch it early, when small lifestyle adjustments tend to make the biggest difference, rather than waiting until symptoms become harder to ignore. Before we wrap up, let me quickly recap the 7 signs we covered today, because I know that's a lot of information to take in. Energy crashes after meals. Brain fog that comes and goes with what you eat. Vision that fluctuates rather than steadily declines. Weight gain around the middle, even without major diet changes. Darker or velvety patches of skin, especially around the neck or armpits. Headaches that seem to track with meals. And cuts or bruises that are healing slower than they used to. If even 1 or 2 of these have been sounding a little too familiar while you've been watching, I really do encourage you to bring this list to your next doctor's visit. You don't need to diagnose yourself. You just need to be the person in the room who says, "Here's a pattern I've noticed," because that one sentence can completely change the direction of a routine checkup. If this video helped you understand your body a little better today, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this information reach more people just like you who might be dealing with the exact same thing and don't even realize it yet. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we cover topics just like this every single week, all designed specifically with your health at your age in mind. And in the comments below, I'd love to know, did any of these 7 signs sound familiar to you? Which one surprised you the most? I read every comment, and your experience might be exactly what helps someone else watching recognize the same pattern in themselves. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.